All right, Akiko, let's get to Apple earnings. They're crossing the wires right now. We're looking at shares move higher here in extended trading, a beat on both the top and bottom lines here for Apple. You are looking at a gain of just around 1.5%. EPS coming in at $1.52. The estimate was for $1.43. Also, revenue coming in better than expected, $94.84 billion. The estimate was for $92.6 billion. The company also authorizing an increase of up to $90 billion to its share buyback program, also boosting its dividend to 24 cents per share. Digging into some of these numbers here, iPhone revenue also coming in better than what the street was looking for at $51.3 billion. Estimate was for just over 48.97 billion. China revenue also beating the street's expectations, 17.81 billion. One area that the company did miss, although it was a slight miss here, was its services revenue. That coming in just a bit light, 20.91 billion. Estimate was for 21.11 billion here. But again, a beat here for Apple on both the top and bottom line, also authorizing an increase of up to $90 billion to its share buyback program, boosting its dividend to 24 cents a share. You're looking at gains of just about 2%.
Yeah, Seana, when you think about the strength in the numbers that we're getting on iPhone sales, certainly points to the momentum the company continues there with iPhones being a big driver. But when you look at the broader numbers here, overall sales fell for the second quarter in a row. You pointed to some of the challenges in the services side. But again, interesting to hear, or it's going to be interesting to hear how Tim Cook tries to spin that one, because there's certainly, while Apple, you could argue among all the tech names, has shown the greatest strength here, even in the face of some of these financial conditions, there are fears about maybe how consumers are going to continue to pull back here in their spending, discretionary spending, as they continue to get pinched by higher prices.
Yeah, certainly. When you take a look at that services revenue, it was a miss from what the street was expecting, but it's still an all-time record, $20.91 billion. So certainly Apple trending in that right direction. But you're right there, the iPhone sales number of revenue there coming in $51.33 billion. We know Apple had run into many supply issues in its previous quarter. A lot of analysts on the street and really investors were closely watching that number. So the fact that that came in better than expected pointed to strong demand for its latest model, the 14. Obviously, that's a positive here for Apple at this time.
Yeah, and also looking at the international side of things, of course, we like to look at Apple's China business there. They saw a decline there as well, $17.8 billion, what we're looking at in terms of greater China business. But that's going to be a story that I think a lot of investors are going to want to follow here, because really when you think about where that growth story is, some would argue that's kind of just in the beginning as China tries to bounce back from those very stringent COVID lockdowns, and they've eased up over the last several months. Going to be interesting to hear any commentary on that one, because it has been a big driver for Apple in the past and has the potential to really do that as Apple sees more slowdowns, at least in some of these Western countries.